Hi, I'm Danielle Crawford and this is Rebecca Tripodi, and today we're going to talk about what kind of HASS teachers we would like to be.
If we look at the SCASA WA curriculum, it basically has a rationale there for us. So the whole point of us engaging in this unit of work with our students is we want them to develop the ability to question the world around them. They need to think critically about all the decisions they make, and we want them to be able to do this based on actual evidence rather than just random thoughts that might pop into their head. And then from that evidence, be able to make a plan for action and communicate those plans effectively to go out and make change in the world.
So in doing that, we're able to give our students the skills that they need to unpack things that they might hear about, see on the television, in the media, and look at events that are happening in the world around them, in their local community, in the country, on a global scale, social, cultural, environmental events, and make them into active 21st century citizens.
So yeah, with this context that we'll be providing with students, we want to basically give them empowering learning experiences. We want to be able to model and show behaviours that will get them excited about learning, not just, rerunning history back World War I, World War II. We want them to be able to see and view actual events occurring currently in the world around them and give them the power to know that they will be able to make change.
Part of empowering our students is to make sure that we are a student with them. We're never finished learning. We are constantly learning with our students, learning about our students, learning about new events, and teaching them, modelling how to be lifelong learners.
We need to make HASS a priority within the school system. It is not simply one subject to be taught for 1 hour once a week. It is something we don't want to push aside HASS and just focus on NAT plan results within our classrooms.
One of Shaw's democratic values, as stated in his book, to have a participatory classroom. As Dewey states, without participation there is no learning. So we need our students in our classroom to become invested in what we're learning about, to be interested in it and engaged in the subject, so that they feel that their values and their opinions do matter in our classroom.
So I think a lot of that as well is providing a safe classroom for them, so they're comfortable to speak up with, especially because a lot of the time HASS is a controversial sort of issue. And in doing that, we're going to promote an effective response between the discussions, as it's not just simply a thought. There is a lot of feeling and emotion behind HASS issues, and that has to be central to the social interaction within our classroom.
Another aspect of the classroom is to have a problem posing classroom. So that's where we could perhaps pose problems for our students and then have them unpack that and work together through discussions and research and investigations to find out more information about that and how we could find ways to solve the issues moving forward.
Cool. So then, with these learning experiences, they need to be situated. They can't just be historic events that happened hundreds of years ago. It is important for students to understand, have that historical context, but they need to be able to apply it to contemporary issues. So yes, we will have to teach students about previous wars, about colonisation, but we do need to be able to give them the skills to sort of apply what they've learnt to current issues, like in the Middle East and Syria or Korea, for example, where we can attempt to give our students some tools to be able to unpack those issues.
And the voice as well.
Yeah.
We also need to make our classrooms a multicultural environment where we embrace everybody's culture. Australia isn't one culture, it's many cultures brought together, and we need to speak about multiculturalism and embracing multiculturalism, researching different cultures in our everyday work within the classroom.
Yeah, definitely. So our classrooms are just the whole point, especially with this participation effective response, is to get dialogue going. We need that discussion to be taking place to be able to instigate the kind of learning that we want to take place, because at the core of everything is that discussion. Our students are learning from each other and building on their perspectives of the world around them.
And another aspect of that is desocialising. We want the students in our class to be able to look at something that they've read in the newspaper. They're going to look at it critically, but we also want them to question it and break it down and say, well, why does it happen like that? Why does it happen that way? Why can't it be done a different way?
So central to Shaw's democratic values is democratic teaching itself. So we don't want to just plan ahead for the year and basically direct student learning. We want to generate themes within the classroom that our students are passionate about, that they're actually interested about, that they will actually want to go on and make a change in the world about. So although we will be guided by the official curriculum, we do have license within that curriculum to allow for student interest and student inquiry into what actually motivates them to learn. So we need to provide opportunities for our students to be able to firstly share what they want to learn about, and then give them options to further inquire into that.
And part of that would be researching, so giving the students the opportunity to use technology, textbooks and so on, old newspapers to research information, different points of view, different stories about whatever it is they've chosen to learn about in the classroom, and teaching them those research skills and about critically thinking about what they are looking at. Is the journal that they're reading or the news article that they're reading, is it valid, is it reliable, or does it have bias?
So bias is a huge thing within the classroom. So taking that stuff, you can actually incorporate that. Cross-curricular literacy is, gives you multiple options to critically read information and present students with different sources of data. They can read their newspaper articles, watch different news coverage and investigate the bias within things, how different cultures are stereotyped. Cross-curricular focus is really important to our core process as HAS teachers.
And then back to giving our students a voice, we want them to be able to act upon the things that they find out in their research and their discussion. So do they write a letter to the editor of a newspaper, or can they write a letter to their local politician about issues in their area that are affecting them and that they feel need to change? So using Shaw's values, we must incorporate imagination, creativity and problem-posing questions in the classroom. Gilbert identifies that we can do this through meaningful learning experiences, focusing on developing skills, an integrative approach, inquiry-based and value-based, critical and challenging and active. And we can do this by using Vygotsky's social constructivist theory in the classroom. Some of the strategies that we can use include introducing problem-posing questions, teacher-led talk, allowing students to draw on their prior knowledge, and finding out what they actually know before we follow through with trying to get them to what they should know.
So basically at the core of all our HAS teaching experiences, we need to get our students to examine bias, stereotypes, culture and tradition, in the community that they firstly live in, then at a national and then global level. So generative themes are a big one. Basically there's a lot of talk in the literature. We've been exposed to readings by Peterson, Jennings, Segura-Mora, outlining that picture books are an expletive generative theme within the classroom that can be applied to any age within the primary curriculum. They will promote dialogue and allow students to be exposed to any contemporary issue present within their culture. So a great example of how we would talk to our students is this book here. It's I'm Australian Too by Mem Fox. And just to us, it's an amazing resource. Danny found it when she was out at a local Kmart, as we now look for HAS resources everywhere. So, and it basically just goes through and it talks about what it is to be an Australian. So it's got these lovely pictures. And as you can see here, it just starts off 2 kids and a coffee how Australian can you get? Ice cream? I'm Australian, how about you? So it goes through a range of different nationalities. I come from an Italian heritage, so I really relate to this Italian one here. My nonno came from Italy. His family followed after. At first, their lives were very hard, but now they are full of laughter. How about you? So that perfectly sums up both sides of my family history. Both my nonnos migrated over, so I can talk through my biographical personal lens to my students, and there is a range of countries listed in here: Greece, Asia, Africa, Middle East. So, and then touching on that, there's a page on Afghanistan and Syria. So you could even tie into the history behind the wars that are currently going on. It then actually talks about refugees here in Australia and how that, the segregation that's going on. What journeys we have travelled from countries near and far. Together now we live in peace beneath the southern star. So using a book like this, we can talk about the different cultures within our classroom, the different histories behind where our families come from, and even talk about different topical issues going on within the world today. From that, our students could then compose their own works, so they could make their own page to fit into the story. And there's just like limitless learning opportunities in there. Visual arts, they could create a little song, there's poetry. You could devise math problems about the distance between countries as well.
And tallies of where the different students' heritage come from.
Yeah, so there's a lot in this book and we just love it. So I think it really sums up where our pedagogy sort of lies as HASS teachers. So hopefully that's a nice little insight into where we hope to be as HASS teachers next year out in the big wide world.
Thank you for listening.